So, before my interview with my partner for the project, Spencer, I was very nervous and confused, but also excited. I don't really have a lot of experience interacting with people who aren't musicians, but I was really excited to learn lots about the life of somebody who wasn't a musician or a music major, since that's been such a key part of my life. So, a typical day for Spencer involves waking up much later in the morning than I do, closer to 10 as opposed to the 7 or 8 that I have to wake up on normal days. He then goes to one of his 4 classes, depending on the day, and usually only has 1 or 2 classes per day. Then he goes home and lays around for a little bit and does homework, and then goes to work. My day is similar, but it starts much earlier. There's a lot more classes, and they're during most of the day, and I still have to go practice. I usually don't work on a weekday, as opposed to how he does. Now, the 3 things that were most important to us in high school, we both thought that our friends were very important, but whereas he thought video games were more important, I thought band was more important. And where he thought socializing with friends outside of school was more important, I thought it was more important to socialize in school. Now, for preparing for big tests, we both were kind of about the same, since I still had to take academic classes in high school, and so did he. Now, applying for college was obviously very different for both of us. He just kind of applied to a few different schools and just hoped for the best, whereas I researched the colleges of music, the music ed programs, took lessons with the various flute professors, and then went through an audition, and essentially had to be accepted twice. So it wasn't just whereas he just got a letter and was like, "Oh, you're in, you can go here," whereas I had to be like, "Oh, you're into the school, and then you have to get into the music school." And for me, choosing to come here was really based off of one specific program. Whereas for him, he was not sure what he wanted to do, and there were a lot of different options for him here. Now, the difference in how he chose what we're doing, for him it was based off a class he took that he had a lot of interest in, and he decided he was going to major in that. Whereas I knew what I wanted to do going in. I had known for a few years, and I was ready to go as a music student. His class load is much smaller than mine. He only has 4 classes per semester on average. I normally have between 7 and 9. However, most of my classes are shorter than his. Most of my classes are around 50 minutes, whereas most of his are over an hour. He spends about 10 hours a week outside of class on schoolwork, including homework and such, whereas I spend almost 20 to 30 hours on homework and practicing and ensemble rehearsals and all that wonderful stuff. So my non-school time is definitely dominated by schoolwork. The one thing I think I learned the most was that most non-music students don't have as many classes as I do. I thought it was normal to be taking almost as many classes as I did in high school. But, on the other hand, most of my classes are shorter and don't count for as much as a lot of his classes. I also learned that it's a lot more common for somebody who doesn't have to be accepted into their program right away to come into college unsure of what they want to do. I had to be very sure that this was what I wanted to do because I had to put in the time and effort to prepare an audition and audition at multiple schools and take lessons with the various flute professors, whereas Spencer and a lot of other non-music students could just come into college not really sure what they wanted to do and take a few classes and figure out what they wanted to do. So, all in all, I'm very excited to take Spencer to a jazz concert in a few weeks because he does not have a lot of experience with music, and now he has a little more insight as to how it's made and how much work is put into it, and I think it will be very beneficial for both of us.